Hello and welcome to TableTakes. Look at all these lovely hosts here joining us today. I am Marcus Mace, and we would like to welcome you to TableTakes, Tabletop News and Talk. We have a bunch of interesting headlines and a really cool interview coming today. But first, I'd like to see what our hosts are up to. So let me check on Bonsai. Bonsai, how are you doing this week?
I am doing fabulous. Why? Because summer is actually here in Seattle. It's no longer raining on us and having windstorms randomly in the middle of May. I get May showers, but there is too much showers in that May. And so I'm very happy to have the sunshine and getting those sweet, sweet vitamin D rays out and about. It's mostly just planning on being outside and touching grass. That's my plans.
And the grass has never been more beautiful. It is a beautiful time out here in Washington State. We appreciate it. Thank you, Bonzo. That sounds lovely. Okay, Javion, how about you? What have you been up to with your busy, wonderful schedule?
Marcus, I have exciting news.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm locking in right now. And Javion, go.
My collection is finally complete. I now own every single starter deck for Disney Lorcana. That's right. I've got the first chapter.
Oh my gosh.
I've got all three of them. I've got the first two for Rise of the Floodborn. I've got the two from Into the Inklands. I've got the two starter decks from Ursula's Return and the two exclusive decks that come in the Illumineer's Quest, which is Ursula's Revenge. And they're all nicely sleeved and in a big old box, and I can take it with me anytime I travel. Speaking of which, at Gen Con, I hear set 5 is going to be releasing very early there, which means you can get your hands on the Gateway. A lot of people are calling it the Gateway drug. It's basically a way for new players to learn how to play Lorcana more easily than the starter decks, which were pretty easy to me anyway. So even better.
That's awesome. I'm happy you finally have a full collection, especially because you weren't super on board with Lorcana at the beginning. You weren't against. I won't say you weren't against it, but it was like you weren't ready to jump on that train, and now you're conducting the train. So I love seeing this. Now I do have a question for you. I don't know if this is the same thing. Is there a card that you just love above all the other cards, or is it just are you still you don't want to pick? I don't want to make you pick favorites this early in the game. So, but if you have,
that's a good question. It's a really good question. I am currently a very big fan of Popsicle. I think everyone is, honestly. You can create.
Popsicle.
You can it's called PAWP sickle.
Yeah.
It's a card you play, and Bonsai somehow knows. Yeah, it's a card you play, and you get to draw a card immediately, and then you can banish it to remove 2 damage from any of your creatures, which is great for basically just cycling through your deck for the card that you do want, while also having items available to do stuff. So yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. That's a very useful card too. That's not just like a practically like a cool card with nice art. That's just a really useful card in game. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Javion. That's wonderful. Next up, Noir. What have you been up to this week? Anything fun?
Yeah, I went to my friendly local gaming store and treated myself to this. This is Laura Bailey's Dice Bag of Holding.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a place where I can finally put all of my dice.
I think the dice just took out your sound integrity and there's no more microphones. Yeah, we believe.
That's okay. I accidentally hit the space bar button. I have been needing a place to put all my die for some time now. And now I have one. I also bought a few new die. I got my pan die.
Pride
Month.
Those are cute. Good time.
I've got my storytelling die. They say things like the number on it, but like yes and on it to really
awesome.
I love that kind of stuff.
Get you going.
Adventure Time RPG needs that.
Oh, you're right. That would be cool because that system's built around that. Other than that, I bought a card game called Substance to play with my friends. It's all about asking deep, meaningful questions. The rules are simple. Read the question on the card and answer it. If everyone agrees that you did not answer it as thoroughly and as and as authentically as possible,
You have to drink.
you have to either do a dare or drink.
Ooh.
I was right. I knew it.
Okay, what's this
I
game
play a
called
lot of
again?
those.
It's called Substance. I can give you an example of a question.
I would love that. Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
there are 3 levels: vulnerable, intimate, and I'm not gonna say the other one.
Thank you.
But here's an example of a vulnerable question. Tell a story of a time you felt betrayed.
Ooh. Ooh. And you can tell a story of them you felt betrayed, or pass and get a drink, right?
Well, so you have to answer the question
Oh,
regardless.
and if they don't think, that's
and
cool.
if everybody's like, we feel like you're holding back, then you drink.
That is fantastic. That is so cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, highly recommend it. I'll be bringing all this stuff to Gen Con with me, so you'll see it there.
Well, speaking of Gen Con and holding back, I think we might have a headline. Javion, shall we hop right into the first headline?
Absolutely. Folks, if you're a fan of Gen Con, then you're probably aware of the absolutely titanic lines that form at the Roll20 booth where you can get all your Gen Con merch. One of the best parts about Gen Con is taking home a little souvenir. Sometimes it's a shirt, sometimes it's a mouse pad like I got last year, or a duffel bag. There's a lot of cool stuff. Right now, on the rollacrit.com website, there are some items, some merch items on pre-launch for all the merch that will be at Gen Con Indy. So right now you can go ahead and preview some of the things that are going to be there. There's some really cool stuff. I'm personally a very big fan of the World Tour shirt this year. It's got a giant D20, a massive sword with a skull hilt on it. It's so cool. It's on fire. They just like mixed a billion things on once and it all looks really cool together. I also really want this life counter pin because I'm playing a lot of Lorcana. I don't have any life counters right now. I've been using the app, but it'd be really cool to have something like this, something Gen Con related to use it with. Also, there's a Pride shirt that looks really cool. It says "Roll with Pride." Honestly, this sort of like vinyl vibe that I'm getting with this like these rings and it's almost like a shimmery effect to it is super, super cool. As we've seen before, they're doing some they're doing a gelatinous cube related shirt that looks awesome. And I don't know why I didn't thought of this before, but they have a $12 medieval dragon badge wallet, a wallet for your Gen Con badge. I know a lot of people love to collect those badges. Sorry, there's a pigeon outside my window right now. I've never seen this before. I'm very distracted.
Wait, there's a pigeon outside of your window?
Yes, never mind. Anyway, yes, keep the badges safe in a wallet instead of them clinking around your pins and your necklaces or just, people bumping into you and spilling stuff.
That's cool. There's so many great items on this, just the pre-launch, and just for those to clarification too, which JV already covered this, but like we have the pre-launch available on Roll20. You can feel free to buy those. If they sell out, they will be available in Indianapolis for Gen Con 2024. Awesome. I love all these. I love all these. I really want the gelatinous cube shirt. I love a good ringer tee, and I love the little red thing. I'm absolutely going to get that. Roll20, hit me up. Hit me up. Let's talk. Let's talk. Next up, we do have some less than thrilling news from the top of Paramountain. Bonsai.
Yes, unfortunately for folks who really love the Dungeons and Dragons movie and was looking forward to the Dungeons and Dragons live action series with Paramount, unfortunately it has been announced this week that Paramount is no longer pursuing the TV show of the D&D live action series. The deal was originally announced in January of 2023 with Paramount supposedly greenlining about 8 episodes. We of course are we even reported about it like during this time period as well. The deal was originally being developed by E1, which was owned by Hasbro's media company. But if you recall, E1 was sold off during the December 2023 layoffs that they did during like basically last year. It was the big Hasbro's big job apocalypse, as they would say. The deal has then since fallen apart, with all rights reverting back to Hasbro's. Hasbro's plan is now to have a creative update to include new creative team before shopping around for new ideas and new buyers for this series. So that kind of like I think we discussed this like beforehand in time or like behind the scenes. This is kind of like the Halo problem where they're like, they're gonna come up with this TV series of an IP that we really, really love and we're really into, and we have a movie to like specify like people want to watch this, but it's gonna be in marketing limbo for a little while.
Don't talk to me about the Halo series. Don't get me started. All he has to do is keep his helmet on. That's all we wanted. I'm gonna stop.
As far as the D&D show goes, it's always a hard sell. D&D, like the D&D movie was a hard sell, and I mean this like from the nicest place in my very dark evil heart. Like as not the biggest fan of of D&D specifically, I guess as a game, like that's still a hard movie to sell if you see this. When that came out to theaters, there were all of these like real produced almost apologetic trailers like, you're gonna watch this nerdy movie, you dweeb, it's got cool shit in it, don't worry about it, it's got fire, and they tried to make it seem like the concept itself wasn't cool, which is burying the premise. And I think like that is a pretty hard sell to go to. Not only then you fire the company that's going to be in charge of the production of it. It's just that's not how you get a TV show made. That's how Disney struggled to get TV shows made.
It honestly feels like they got beef with the fans of the properties that they want to come out with stuff for. Because honestly, when Halo came out first season, like the fans, they were like, "Hey, we appreciate that you're giving us a Halo show. Yeah. Could he please keep his helmet on?" And I promise you, the next season, not only was his helmet not on, but then they made us see Master Chief's butt. It's just like we wanted more armor on, not less.
Oh my gosh. I can't even like, what would have this series actually even been, this D&D show? Would have followed? Was there any news? Did anyone get any news about this? Like, it was mostly just announced, right? There was no pre-production.
From the rumors that I heard around, it was supposed to be highlighting the world of Faerun, and I do believe that one of the principal characters that they were going to put a spotlight on was going to be Drizzt.
Oh yes.
And it's like, all right, cool. Like, I mean, like, I disagree with you just a little bit, and I don't want to take up too much time. But like, I think this show would be real easy to do. Like, first off, we've got a hunger for fantasy. Like, we're so hungry for fantasy, we're giving Game of Thrones another shot. Like,
oh wait, no,
right? So like, all you got to do is play the adventures, like kind of riff off of the modules in the adventures that you're having players run, so they can watch the TV and go, I remember my character did that. It'd be real simple. Hire me, Paramount. I'm smart-ish.
I would not wish you hired. I wouldn't wish my. Let's just say I wouldn't wish my worst enemy hired by Paramount. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Paramount, keep on doing what you're doing. Great luck. We're not paid by Paramount, right? Just to be clear. We're not.
I hope so. I hope not. I'll be all out of a job.
Cool. Once again, apologies to Paramount and apologies to Post Malone. Next up, we have the Disney. I don't know what I'm talking about. The Disney? No. We have a very special announcement that's going to be coming to Gen Con. It is the U.S. Postal Service reveals the 50th anniversary Dungeons & Dragons stamps. The U.S. Postal Service will commemorate the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons, referring to the world's greatest role-playing game and cultural phenomenon, at Gen Con Indy 2024. The Postal Service will unveil the stamps and activities at retail sales in 2 different locations. So as at Lucas Oil Stadium as a part of the Gen Con Indy convention near the Wizards of the Coast. The retail sales will be there. You can check that out. Make sure you need tickets to Gen Con to be able to access these. However, at the Indiana Post Office, you'll be able to get retail sales for that starting on August 1st. There will also be Greg Breeding, the art director for the stamps, will be available for autographs that day at Lucas Oil Stadium as well. This is pretty cool. These are going to be forever stamps. If you like sending packages, I always wind up sending lots of packages, and I like having fun stamps to send to my friends and family. What do you guys think about this?
I've got a lot of board games to offload, Marcus. Not to mention, I'm getting into card trading with Lorcana. I mean, when I open up my first Enchanted, I'm gonna want to be able to ship it off if it's a really good one. I'm gonna try to get some money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I definitely underestimated stamps. Would you believe that the first time I ever mailed literally anything in my entire life was 2021?
What?
Oh,
And I
wow.
still have like 5 stamps left over because I was sending a Christmas card for the first time.
Oh, and that was your that's impressive. That is impressive that you were able to go that long without that.
Not to mention, it would be really good at Gen Con because how many
Mhm.
times have we been there, had a ton of games, and we're like, okay, I need to actually send these home because they're not going to fit in my 3 bags.
That would also be pretty cool to be able to send someone something from Gen Con with one of these stamps as like a little, hey, I'm sorry you couldn't be here. That's cool. That gives me an idea for a friend of mine. That's awesome.
Yeah. My bone to pick with this is that when I heard it announced, I thought it was going to be released about 3 months, or not 3 months, yeah, about 3 months ago. I have been pestering my local post office for when the D&D stamps are coming out. And so now this is the first they're like, oh, they didn't say when they're announced. Now I find that they've just been holding out for Gen Con, and now I'm going to have to fight my way to get stamps at Gen Con because I just want the collection. All right, I got a sticker book collection. And these are kind of like stickers, but they're not really stickers, but I'm gonna just keep them, okay? All right. The
Cool.
art is really cool, and I've been waiting for them, and gosh darn it.
I'm just going to make a quick note for the programming schedule of Gen Con 2024. Bonsai has to go to the stadium with the IRL backpack camera to report on
Report
D&D
on
stamps. Okay,
D&D stamp.
done.
Is there gonna be a limit?
Actually, so it says the stamps, they don't expect a limited quality for the stamps. So actually, they're supposed to have quite a bit of a supply. So not going to run out. I know you are a little skeptical, Bonsai, when anyone tells you anything, especially absolutes like that. But when has the post office ever lied to us? Next up, we have Roll20 acquiring Demiplane. Noir, would you like to take us through this?
Boy.
This is big
Yeah,
news.
this was some heat. All right. So if you are even remotely involved in the TTRPG space, then you probably felt the shockwave of this acquisition. Um, so let's just get into what Roll20 has to say about it. Roll20's press release says we're excited to announce that Roll20 has acquired Demiplane, the best in-class character building solution for tabletop role-playing games. Demiplane joins a growing suite of TTRPG offerings from Roll20 that include Roll20 Tabletop, Drive-Through RPG, and Dungeon Scroll. Dungeon Scroll. Adding Demiplane furthers our mission of connecting gamers and providing them with cutting-edge tools that bring their campaigns to life both in person and online. Known for its rapid rise as the D&D Beyond for every other game system, Demiplane offers a gameplay nexus for a rapidly growing list of popular TTRPGs, including Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Gang Gang, Vampire the Masquerade, and Avatar Legends RPG, and more. Each Nexus provides a digital character sheet, character builder, and character management, along with a beautiful digital reading experience that assists players in quickly referencing any part of a game's rule system or content. Um, so yeah, that's the major portion of the press release. There's a little bit more after that. Some things that I'd like to note that they left out on the press release is that one of the founders of Demiplane, Adam Bradford, who's also known as one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons of D&D Beyond, is no longer with Demiplane. Made at the exact same time as this announcement was the announcement that Adam Bradford has moved over to be the CDO of Fantasy Grounds. And so while Roll20 is bolstering itself with Demiplane, one of Adam's creations, it looks like Fantasy Grounds went to one of the guys responsible for making it in the first place. All this tells me is that the VTT competition is heating up. There's never been a better time to be a TTRPG fan that has friends in faraway places, because things are only going to get better from here. And don't forget, Wizards of the Coast is working on their official VTT in the background as well. So keep an eye out on Virtual Tabletop Game. It looks like we're gonna get a lot of news about it, and we're gonna be eating pretty good. But what do you all think about this?
I'm waiting for, I know this is going to be a little bit ahead of its time, but I want the fusion of this plus augmented reality. Just give me those two mashups. That's all I want.
Oh my
Like,
god!
you
Bonza
guys,
needs to live in the
you
virtual
haven't been
space.
waiting for augmented reality already. I've been waiting.
I'm having a
don't
hard
let-
time coming to terms with regular reality. I don't need anything augmented.
Like, I'm like real talk here. I'm very serious. Bonsai, do you have a virtual headset? Do you have like a Meta
I do
Quest or
not
Oculus?
the newer ones. I have one of the older ones. Yes, I just don't like having to sign up for Facebook to use all of the various different.
unfortunately.
And I've been following about Google Glass. When I saw Pokemon Go, I was like, augmented reality, and it was not as augmented as I hoped.
There's a couple really good games. I wish I could remember them off the top of my head, but that have utilized augmented reality in ways that I have never seen. Like right now, where you can actually like reach out and grab and touch things and manipulate things in the augmented reality that could in real life. Just really, we're at a good point for that. So Bonza, I don't think it's going to take that long. But go ahead, Nora.
I just got one last question because there's 3D and then there's augmented reality. 3D being everything that you're seeing is virtually generated, whereas augmented reality is there's 3D representation in the real world. So are you talking specifically about that, or would you be okay with like fully rendered 3D, like playing tabletop simulator, that kind of deal?
I like the augmented reality because then you can have holograms of your friends at your table that you're playing.
Okay.
And then also, but with the 3D thing, this is a whole other tangent that you can look into. This was a simulation called The Void, that had a fully immersive virtual reality setup that, of course, didn't like. Long story short, they basically had a fully immersive VR setup that was in like a big warehouse, but because they're the ones who planted it and it's their virtual reality, everything that was in the real world was already augmented into the computer as virtual reality, completely immersing yourself. So if I could go to a place with my friends and do an escape dungeon in virtual reality, that would be cool, but not augmented reality. Augmented reality is I want to be able to play and talk to an invisible person while I'm on the street.
Okay.
Okay.
I want people to know that I don't know. I just want to seem like I'm crazy, but I'm not.
I promise you, Bonza, that's not a problem for you. I believe that in my heart. So on Demiplane, I'm going to talk on Demiplane. So that's has anyone who's had the most access to Demiplane or played the most Demiplane? You?
I was gonna ask Noir
Because I think the
actually.
only thing I was walked through was this might be the Daggerheart Nexus, but I'm not sure if that's Demiplane
Yeah.
or if that was that was
No,
the,
that is Demiplane.
yeah, that was
They had an
the
exclusive.
only thing I've actually messed around with on Demiplane. So Nora, would you tell us a little bit more about your experience with it?
Absolutely. So I mean, really, they boiled it down pretty simply, which is it is very much D&D Beyond for every other game, but it also has the additional burden of with D&D Beyond, there's segments for where you can read the books and whatnot. They have to do that for every game system as well. Some they do a little bit better than others. But on top of that, Demiplane was also attempting to Demiplane was like a big old gumbo of TTRPG stuff. Like, of course, they have the D&D Beyond aspect of it, of character creation and the resources where you can read the books, but they are also allowing people to sell game sessions as well. So they had a start playing games element of it. And honestly, I heard really good things about it. People got paid quickly. People were able to set prices nicely. People were able to rate GMs, and the ratings would have this cool little graph. So, like, if you just wanted to do a quick look and like, I want a GM that's all about fighting, you can look up the graph and see like, oh, their fighting is out the roof. So you can just go to that GM. So they were doing a number of things. Now that's the positive. They were doing a lot of things. The negative was they were doing, some would argue, a little too much. They had a smaller team, and I know, for example, one of the issues that I had with it is I'm a huge fan of the Marvel Multiverse TTRPG. And I tried to run a game on Demiplane. Their character creations was so smooth. Their character sheet looks gorgeous. But with Marvel in particular, the content sharing was not functioning properly. So while I had access to everything, when I tried to give it to my players so that they can make characters with all of the powers that I have access to, they were only able to access the quick start guide because that particular functionality wasn't working properly at the time. So I can't speak to every game that they had going, because again, they're doing so much. You have to remember, Demiplane had Marvel Multiverse, Vampire the Requiem, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Pathfinder 2, a 5e Nexus, which encompasses all 5e that's not directly Wizards of the Coast related. Aliens, the Avatar Legends roleplay, and so much more than that. So again, very ambitious, and now that they're partnered with Roll20, there are going to be questions that a lot of people are going to have to ask. I don't think that they're ready to answer yet, which is Roll20 has access to like every game. Is every game going to get the Demiplane treatment? Because if so, that's going to be a lot. They have games that aren't even sold in stores anymore
Yeah.
on Roll20. So like, how are they going to do that? These engineers are going to be working their tuchuses off. So good luck to them. I hope this works out. Roll20 has been diligently improving their VTT over time, and I hope that this takes them to the next step, because honestly, all the things that I would personally say Roll20 wasn't good at, Demiplane was, and so it was a smart move to make this acquisition.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. That is exciting. I hope to see far more. I do love to see a buffet of different types of gaming all allowed to be able to bloom that way. But as the VTT wars are heating up, we have a new hot release roundup from Javion. Javion, would you like to tell us what's up?
Absolutely, Marcus. Yes, we got a bunch of new game releases, and they're always releasing. They're always getting announced, and I like to round them up for you guys so you can check them out too. Now, if you want to follow along and you want to see what these cover arts are going to look like, check out the link in Twitch chat now. So the first one we got here is King of Tokyo Duel. If you're a fan of King of Tokyo, you're very excited to hear about this. I'm not the biggest fan of King of Tokyo. I think it's very take that. It's very, I hope I don't get ganged up on. Or when you try to like get out of Tokyo, sometimes you still get hit and you still lose. But in a two-player version, I can see this changing the game entirely. I'm always looking for two-player games to add into my repertoire. So this looks really fun. It's going to have the same idea of that tug of war between trying to get points and trying to destroy your enemy. But it's got new dice to use to hopefully make the two-player version a little bit more streamlined. So some special power cards to come along with it. As usual, spending some energy to create them. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we see a lot of this stuff at Gen Con this year. We've also got announcement for a new Epic Spell Wars edition. It looks like this one's going to be called Anarchy at the Arena. For those of you maybe haven't heard of Epic Spell Wars, it's the only card game I've seen where you can create your own magic spells out of the most vulgar stuff you've ever heard of in your entire life. And you do this by creating, well, different parts of the spell, the beginning, the middle, the end, some combination of those three things in either in part or in whole. And then in this edition, it looks like you're adding in a bunch of stuff for arena-based battles. So we've got applause tokens, rally cards, champion cards, and a bunch of other stuff to make it feel like you're in an arena. So definitely looking forward to that. The Op Games has announced an After Dark version of Tapple, the game all about trying to name things as quickly as you can. When I go out to events and stuff with my friends, I'm always looking for the kind of game that's going to appeal to everyone, the hardcore gamers, the never gamers. Tapple's always one of those, and I know my friends are definitely going to want to enjoy something like Tapple. So After Dark version, definitely very timely. And then we've got the Legends of Andor. It's going to get its new edition, Das Ferne Land, or the Distant Land. So it looks like it's going to have even more emphasis on the travel part of the game. It's a co-op game that, if you ask me, is the most slept-on co-op game I've ever seen. You play with a couple of your friends, and you go through campaigns. It's epic fantasy. It's very straightforward, mainstream fantasy stuff. And that's what I want. I want my dwarf, my elf, my wizard, and my fighter, and I want them to all go on an adventure together, like in like terms that make sense to me, that I've seen before, familiar stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing this and finally actually getting my hands on a copy of Legends of Andor. And finally, we've got Roll and Write for the Galaxy. Now, this is just a teaser as well, and it's also really just a prototype that was reported on by Larry Levy and Talia Rosen, both of them saying that it's actually pretty decently built and almost full of content for something that was, well, built 5 days before they got a chance to try it themselves. I'm a big fan of Roll for the Galaxy. You guys know I love rolling dice. Roll for the Galaxy is a fun game about trying to collect resources, making planets happen, making stuff happen, controlling the galaxy, right? So I want to see a roll and write that has has Tom Lehman's signature spin on it, you know what I mean? So I've seen Hadrian's Wall, they talk about it and how that was like really, really complicated for a roll and write. So I want to see how they do that with Roll for the Galaxy as well, even with all the people who actually know Roll for the Galaxy, Race for the Galaxy, and can probably pick up on those rules a little bit faster. So yeah, there you go. Bunch of new games to look forward to, and I'll have a bunch more for you next week because I'm going to be talking all about the Board Game Geeks hot games for the preview for Gen Con. So stuff to look forward to getting a chance to demo when we get to Gen Con.
That is awesome. I love seeing all these cool ideas and also getting that new release rundown vibes again, which I also appreciate. Yeah. Always love to feel. This looks awesome. I'm excited to see what comes with these games and what comes next week for your little Gen Con preview. But I do have possibly one of the most confusing news headlines I have read. Bonsai, would you like to try to explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, please?
Alrighty, folks. Well, this is something that maybe you guys haven't heard of, probably, but a very interesting IP announcement was just announced. So thank you to Jeffrey Dom Sanchez Dome Sanchez for bringing this up from ICD2. Catalyst announced that they're going to be working with Snoop cereal. So if you're not familiar with Snoop cereal, it is the cereal brand that Snoop Dogg and Master P own. That has been, in this announcement, been pulled off of shelves as well during this week. So it's quite interesting. So CGL was supposedly doing a developing of the license into this game called Snoop Cereal Get Into the Game, which involves players competing as members of a K9 team that controls a basketball court. Yeah, and it's even more strange is that this is not just going to come out, it's going to be launched via crowdfunding on BackerKit. So it's very, very interesting. I want to kind of see what you guys think. I don't know if you guys know a lot of like artists, mostly like dabble in other things like Rihanna with her underwear line, and also Snoop Dogg also has done things as his wine thing. This cereal was supposed to be released as Snoop Loops, but of course Fruit Loops had a problem with that, even though that is a A++ name, and I wish that they just worked together. But Snoop cereal is what the line is, and unfortunately, during this time period, the Snoop cereal was pulled off of shelves because it wasn't selling as well due to placement. There's also like behind the scenes, if you want to look into the Snoop Dogg cereal drama, there's actually a lot. That rabbit hole you want to go ahead and go down to. So what do you all think of the Snoop cereals board game that is coming out?
Yeah, I've heard of Post Malone. Sure, I know who Post Malone is. I've seen people try to replicate what Post Malone did. So Snoop Dogg, huh? Okay, sure. If I had to guess, I wouldn't say Snoop Dogg's the most surprising addition to the tabletop world. I mean, he's done a lot of weird stuff, or at least stuff that people wouldn't immediately ascribe to like a rapper anyway. So cool. Yeah. Get in the game.
Noir, you have any comments about Snoop Dogg's Masterpiece cereal brand? Are you gonna get into the game?
I'm actually over here quietly seething that they won the case to remove the name Snoop Loops. On what basis does Snoop have to change the name of Snoop Loops because of Fruit Loops? Like, that is two different words. Like, people can get sued for rhyming now. Like,
well, it's also
that's pretty bad
there's
for
more
Snoop
to
Dogg.
it.
If you can get sued for rhyming, that's pretty bad.
I'm right. Like, and here's my other thought, and like the reason I was quiet is because I don't have anything useful to contribute. But do people forget that Snoop was on trial for murder? for like in the '90s,
capital M
Snoop
murder.
was on trial for murder. So now we're doing children's cereal. Like, I just say, like, good on him, man. Like, that's a complete career revitalization. Like, that man, good on him. But like, if it comes to what cereal mascot will win in a fight, like Snoop.
I'm actually, you know what, I will go on a limb. I don't think any of Snoop Dogg's animal mascots that he chose for this these boxes could win in a fight against anything. They are the weirdest designs, so basic. This is such an interesting story. I really hope that I can get my hands on Snoop cereal get in the game as soon as possible. I want to try this out.
It should be called Snoop Loops.
No matter what, it should be called Snoop Loops. Wonderful.
Sorry,
no, that's you are passionate. You have a passionate response to the news, and that is why we appreciate you here, Noir. And speaking of appreciation, I think we want to give some appreciation here. So, Noir, I will let you handle this part.
All right, so time to bring the mood down just slightly, because we are giving someone their roses who unfortunately is no longer with us. The SFWA is posthumously awarding Janelle Jacquet's giving them the 2024 Katie Wilhelm Solstice Award. It's just nice to see someone being appreciated even past their life, because it shows the impact that they had. But their press release states the following. The Science Fiction and Fantasy Writer Association is pleased to announce that the 2024 Kate Wilhelm Solstice Award will be presented posthumously to Janelle Jacquet at the 59th Annual SFW Nebula Award Ceremony on June 8th, 2024. The Kate Wilhelm Solstice Award is given by SFWA for significant contributions to science fiction, fantasy, and related genres community. The award was created in 2008 with Wilhelm named as one of the 3 original recipients and was renamed in her honor in 2016. Ms. Jacquet joins the ranks of the latest Solstice Award winners, including Sarah C. Renee Murphy, Greg Bear, Petra Mayer, Arle Sorg, Troy L. Wiggins, Ben Bova, and Rachel Kane. A multi-award winning and honored artist, game designer, editor, and activist, Janelle Jacquet left an indelible mark on the gaming industry and SFF community for nearly 50 years. Ms. Jacquet's career began in college when she and her friends created the Dungeoneer, one of the first licensed Dungeons and Dragons fanzines. Now, from magazines to books, Ms. Jacquet's art can be seen on multiple covers and throughout the pages of many different forms and iterations of Dungeons and Dragons media. Having designed 2 modules of her own, The Dark Tower and the Caverns of Thresia, her writing was celebrated by players for eschewing traditional and linear game mechanics are not only playable today, but continue to inspire game designers and GMs. So please take a look at this press release yourself. Check out some of her work. Get some of those modules for sure. And yeah, just show some appreciation for one of the most prolific geeks who made a major impact in the hobby that we all love. And the next time you see some troll online saying that women don't have a place in gaming, remind them that there would be no gaming without them. That's it.
Hell yeah. I love the being able to show honors for this person. This is a wonderful time. Thank you, Noir, for bringing that to our attention and for covering that so eloquently. Appreciate that. Next up, though, we have an interview for Interview Worthy about the Vanishing Lands. The Vanishing Lands have not always been here. Less than a century ago, beings of several different planes of existence suddenly found themselves and the land on which they lived, instantly transported through time and space to come to rest on a new, previously uninhabited plane, an occurrence that has become known as the Appearance. Well, we're going to bring in right now Jeff Moore, the designer of this game, for an interview section. So here we go. Interview Worthy, let's go!
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi, everybody.
Pop
Hello,
onto
hello.
the interview screen, and we can
Great.
see all of your lovely faces, including our wonderful guest, Jeff Moore. Hello, Jeff. How you doing
Hello,
today?
Jeff.
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing excellent. We get to talk about the Vanishing Lands right here on TableTakes. Looking
Love
forward
that.
to it. So I wanted to, we just kind of read a brief synopsis of what the Vanishing Lands is to the chat, but would you like to, in your own words, your significantly better words, would you like to tell us what the Vanishing Lands is?
I would love to. The cover of the book says it is heroic role playing and collaborative world building, and that's really, I think that's the best description of it. To give a little bit of flavor to it, there's this plane of existence where every like town or city or land that you've heard of in stories that somehow vanished, like Atlantis or Shangri-La or even like Brigadoon, right?
Yeah.
Like these places that they just disappear and nobody knows where they go. This is where they go. They go to the Vanishing Lands. And how that translates into gameplay is that you and your friends at the table will create your own land to play in, and then you play in it.
Oh.
So it's really whatever game you want it to be.
That is fantastic. That is so cool. I loved when I first approached this, this came to my attention. I was like, this sounds like the exact kind of game I want to drop in various worlds that I thought up. I'm like, oh, this is like a little scene that I didn't really have much meat for. Now I just take that, throw it in a world, and I'm able to kind of build off of that gameplay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what did you what actually inspired this? Did this come? What does the inspiration come from? What made you want to either set out and make a game itself or make this game?
Like this game? Yeah, that's a great question. This wasn't originally going to be this game. This was originally going to be a setting book for probably Dungeons and Dragons, right? Because that's a lot of people's entry point. It's an easy way in. And as I got going, I started deciding things that I wanted to kind of skin onto it, different mechanisms that don't exist in that game. So I said, well, I could just add this, and then I'll add this. And before long, I just had an entirely new system. So, I love world building games, but I feel like I should then get to play in it after I build the world.
Yes.
And then I needed something that stitched it all together, and I couldn't quite find something that scratched the itch for me specifically. So I just made it, and it came out exactly like what I want to play. Like I could happily play this game only for the rest of my life.
I love hearing that.
That's really interesting, actually. This idea of involving everyone in the world building rather than just having the GM do it themselves. That's actually what drew me to some of my favorite RPGs. And it's actually a question that I have for you is when it comes to the daunting task of creating some world building, how do you make this game accessible in like a short form? Like, let's say hypothetically there's an event going on and you want to run this. Like, how does it not become like a huge massive undertaking?
Right. How do you fit it into 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. The world building section is like, most games, when you buy it, there will be a character creation section and it's very robust. And then the rest of the book is about playing the game. This has 2 separate character creation sections. One is how to build the world, and the next one is how to build your character. So it is a very prescribed process. It's very simple.
That's
Anybody could sit and do it. It's very simple prompts that anybody would be able to answer, and
I
you
like
all
to
work
hear that.
together and bounce around with each other's ideas.
I'm curious, either via through play test or just watching it played, have there been any unique interactions or any unique aspects of
Ooh.
settings that you've seen utilized because of the system? And can you tell us what they were?
Yeah, I've never played two games of it that were anywhere near each other conceptually. We've done some really wild stuff. One of them was we're sort of wizards on ships, like pirate wizards. There was another one where everybody was like in a fairy tale land and like gingerbread folks. One of the more memorable ones was that our group was a set of LARPers doing like Napoleonic era reenactments with like paper mache armor and everything. And then their land got pulled to the Vanishing Lands. Suddenly, they are actors and gamers with paper armor facing real monsters. Like it really is yeah, it was a blast. And it's just because we had this weird set of ideas when we started building that world, and we said, okay, what would our problems be? Let's see, let's play it. And it's like I said, no two of them have ever been anywhere near each other. We've dabbled in like cyberpunk kind of themes. You can really do anything with it. It's designed to be pretty light so that you can really truly do whatever, and you're not hampered by any mechanical systems, hopefully.
Mhm. I guess for my question with this whole like vast world that you can put in and put out, like is there like good enough like is the like I'm sorry, trying to think. The prompts that you have for it, is there a way to balance so somebody just doesn't come in like, I have Megatron and I'm gonna Megatron all over these fantasy lands? I'm sure you have those
Is
in
it
place,
Megatron
but
proof?
yeah,
Megatron
is it
proof?
Yeah,
Megatron
is it Megatron proof?
Well, it's got a very small door, so only actually, no. That's something that I took from sort of the OSR style gaming, is that like balance is not really something that the game cares about. It leaves it up to you and your group to care about it. If you don't want to fight giant death robots, don't. You know what I mean? But there's no reason not to. The rules for building your own like creatures and everything and enable you to scale up to like pretty deadly colossal things, and you just have to decide what level you're going to play at.
Now, Jeff, can I ask? You mentioned OSR, so now
Okay.
I'm really curious. What kind of gamer are you? Like, what's your background in gaming, and how did that help you build this?
That's an excellent question. My history as a gamer is mostly in sort of sci-fi stuff. The first game I ever played was West End Games Star Wars D6.
Yeah.
And that was all I had played for years. So learning D&D later was a wild trip for me. I have settled into a pretty good rhythm with, I guess we're calling them narrative games, sort of new school storytelling, powered by the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Blades in the Dark is currently my favorite game of all time. Well, second favorite.
Nice save.
Yeah. But that's generally, I lean towards cinematic narrative players as heroes, and then the characters are sort of secondary heroes. Like I love a table where we're all fans of each other and we're all egging each other on to do crazy adventurous stuff. That's the vibe I want at my table. So I really try to push for that, even if I'm not running the game.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's like also kind of like Javion was saying. One of the things that did draw me to this like how collaborative the world building is with this, and something like that is when you get a lot of people together, you get all these different ideas and different directions you can go off. Like you mentioned, not being able to take never having a game that's really that close to each other in tone and setting. So my question is, Are you going to be able? Is there going to be anywhere we can play this in the next several months?
Oh, sure.
Are demos? Is there going to be any big convention that we might be at? Or
Yeah, that's what a prompt. I love that. Yes, I will have a couple of events. I still have got tickets open actually for all of them currently. I'm running a few sessions at Gen Con this year in August in Indianapolis. So if you have some free time on Thursday and Friday and you want to check out the game, come on over. You can find the event listings pretty easily by plugging in the Vanishing Lands to Gen Con's catalog, or go to thevanishinglands.com and there's a little banner at the top. You click that and it pre-populates the search for you. So you don't even have to pick around and look for stuff. It's just right there. I'm running 2 sessions of the starter adventure that's in the book.
yes.
It's called Escape from Arnon's Keep. We did it last year at Gen Con and both groups loved it. Very different game, very fun both times. And I'm also running a couple learn to play sessions where we'll do the world building, we'll do character creation, and then with whatever time left we have, we'll fight some monsters or whatever, something that we just made during the land build. So it promises to be a pretty good time.
That is exciting. I just want to remind everyone, get your tickets now. It's going to be awesome. I want to see more people there. That's going to be cool.
Yes, please.
So Jeff, is this your only project that you're working on right now, or do you have like a bunch of other projects? Because from what I know about you and Sarah, you stay very busy.
Yeah, yeah. This is my only current game project. I was working on The Crowned as a layout artist. I did that sort of concurrently with my development of the Vanishing Lands, and we are working on supplemental material for the Vanishing Lands currently. I already announced it on another show, so I'll just tell you, we're working on Vanishing Wonderland. So we're taking the events of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass and building setting material for that, and some adventure hooks and all the stuff that you might expect for that. So yeah, basically just this, but this is a lot.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, it's exciting. I like I said, I love narrative games, and just this how your passion showing through the screen right now is motivating me to go ahead and try building this world through here.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, the website is actually great, by the way. I
Oh,
think
thanks.
I mentioned that to everybody. That was like the first thing I noticed when we were like looking up like all this stuff. Something that catches your eye and actually makes you want to like dig a little bit deeper to find out.
Great. I made that too. Love to hear it.
Oh.
Doing it.
And for those in chat who didn't hear earlier, Marcus just went in onto the website and bought the Vanishing Lands right now. That's what was being said.
Yeah, thank you. I bought I gave a nice plug for the game that I just purchased while my microphone is shorting out. My soundboard is shorting out right now. I apologize. But yes, wonderful. Is there any more questions for Jeff while we have him before we sign up? No more.
I just have one. I always ask the scientists this, from conception to having the printed copy in your hand. How long did this process take you?
Ooh.
Years, but mostly because I didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time. When I started working in earnest, it was probably about 18 months working very part-time.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, it was too long.
No, that's incredible.
But you gave birth to this wonderful baby now.
I did, yeah. It's a real thing, There's a lot of pages and everything. It's everything you want.
Well, Jeff, is there anything else you'd like to share about this? Anything that you're doing? Anything you want to share about the Vanishing Lands before we start our sign off for the day?
You beat me to one of them. It was just that the game is currently on sale. Thevanishinglands.com. You can buy it in hardcover or through DriveThruRPG digitally. Also, we are closing out a 3-episode arc of The Vanishing Lands on Sarah's table tonight. It starts at 5 p.m. Pacific. So stick with Gen Con TV and you'll see my face over there again. I'll have a different shirt, but it's still me, I assure you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us. Check out The Vanishing Lands. Get a copy right now. Sign up for Gen Con or just stay tuned and get a little taste of what it's going to be like in a couple of hours. But Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Please stick around as we sign off. This is the end of Table Takes. Noir, Javion, Bonsai, sad faces all across the board. But do not worry. We have so much more in store all week, including in a couple of hours, like we said, Sarah's Table. But Mondays, we have Peter versus the Machine and Dress to Quest. Tuesday, we have Vampire the Masquerade. Indie by Night, we have Path of Brush. Then on Wednesdays, we have Path of Brush, Actoroki. Thursday morning, we have Blood on the Clock Tower, followed by Shadowrun from Roll with Rem Alternus. Then Friday, we are right back here for more Table Takes and Sarah's Table. I would like to thank everyone on the Gen Con crew. That's my name. I'm not going to say it. Steve Connard, Sarah Moore, Tanel Lovett, and Danny Kennedy. I would like to thank my delightful co-host, Javion, Bonsai, Noir, and of course, Jeff Moore for joining us today. And most of all, thanks to all of you for watching and hanging out in chat on YouTube, the VODs, anything. We appreciate you. Remember, though, to follow Gen Con TV for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.